Hello everybody. I already posted about this on my community posts, and I as well talked about it quite a bit on a recent stream. However, I thought I might as well make a video on it to hopefully help some people out there from not bricking their collab polls. Because man, I've already seen so many posts across social media of people unfortunately converting their Asterite to the normal banner polls, not realizing that they would not be able to be used for these collab banners. I've seen one with 200 pulls, another with 500, and the most recent case, nearly 1,000 pulls converted. You have to feel for them, right? So let's get into this Wuwa collab banner and the entire system around it. To start us off, there is a 50-50. It's not really special in comparison to the normal banners. It functions very similarly, if not the exact same as the normal banners, except there's a little bit of a nerf, which I'll get into a little bit. I have seen that a few people out there are disappointed by the fact it isn't guaranteed. However, personally, I never expected these banners to be guaranteed in the first place, right? Next, you cannot use specific banner currencies for these collab banners because they have their own version of them, and the only old pro currency that you can actually use is purely Asterites. You can convert your Asterites into this new pole currency, so make sure you don't convert them into things like Radiant Tides, because you will not be able to use those on these collab banners. Then we also have the amount of corals for dupes. This has unfortunately been or become more predatory. So the way this works is you need to accumulate a total of 480 corals from pulls in order to be able to purchase your first collab character dupe. Now, don't get it twisted. The dupes do cost the normal 360 like any other limited character. It's just that for some reason Kuro put this very weird restriction where you cannot purchase any of these dupes until you accumulate a total of 480 of this coral. I have no idea why, but that's just the way it is, I guess. So if you're going for 2 dupes, then it'll technically cost the same as any other limited character banner. However, if you're only going for 1, it costs more, right? Next, we have probably some very bad news for a lot of you, and here is where pretty much the worst news surrounding the banner is going to be mentioned. So the corals for the banner are unique. Yes, you heard that right. Corals take a lot to build up, especially something as insane as 480. So you might have assumed that you could convert your old coral or just use your old coral on the new banners. However, that is unfortunately not the case. It is a unique currency similar to the rest of the collab banner currencies, meaning you start from 0. However, to make matters somehow even worse, they have actually nerfed the amount of coral that you receive from characters and from maxed out 4-stars. For example, normally on normal banners, a maxed out 4-star will give you 8 Afterglow coral, which you can use to get a free pull. However, a maxed out 4-star who is attained through the collab banner will only give you 5 of the collab's coral, meaning not only is it heftier to even purchase a single dupe from these collab banners, however, it's also steeper in terms of how many pulls you have to spend to achieve said coral to begin with, because it's been nerfed, right? And next, at least after this, it's not as bad anymore. The patch has been shortened, and these collab banners, these collab characters, they're only lasting for this patch. So you only have 32 days to pull on these collab banners if you are interested in them. If you are interested in, you know, the corals and the dupes and all that, you only have that amount of time, basically just 1 month, right? Because the patch has been shortened. And next, probably the only semi-decent news to some whales out there, there are pull milestones around this collab banner. So there's like incremental milestones, like every 20, every 30, something like that, where you do get some collab pulls back the more you pull on the collab banner. And there are some larger milestones, two to be exact, that will actually give you a dupe for either Lucy or Rebecca. So the first milestone for a dupe is at 160 pulls on the collab banner, and the second one is much steeper, 3xing that at 420. Not exactly 3x, actually 3x would be 480, but you kind of get the point. So 160 pulls and 420 pulls total will get you an extra dupe on these collab characters. So that is all. That's the entire system basically. And as you guys could probably tell if you are neutral in this entire thing, this is just disgustingly predatory. The amount of FOMO being inflicted with this entire system is absolute insanity. However, not only this, we got a leak a couple months back, or like a month back, saying that the system around the collab banner and Wuwa would be similar to PGRs. So I did have a slight assumption that there's a possibility that the pulls can be discounted, right? Because in PGR, the pulls were discounted. For example, if we were to use 160 Asterite as an example in Wuwa, it would be discounted to you only need 120 or you only need 130 Asterite to make a pull, which is not the normal 160. However, there's been absolutely nothing announced about that, so I do think it's safe to say that it's going to cost the same 160 Asterite in order to convert into this banner's pulls, unlike the PGR collab, which it was originally compared to by leakers. Now the good news is at least the content and the stuff surrounding the collab in game does look very promising. On my recent stream, I was talking about how this seemed like the opposite of Hoyo's collab, right? Hoyo absolutely knocked it out of the park when it came to the banners and how long they last, making sure that there's really no FOMO inflicted in the player base at all. However, the content fell short for a lot of people. While Wuwa, the in-game content looks to be incredibly promising, but the banner system itself looks to be some of the most predatory shit I've ever seen in my history of playing gachas. So that's all. I'm not going to speak about this too much because in the first place, I don't really care about pulling on these collab banners anyways. If Rebecca wasn't going to be free, then I would have semi-cared, but because she's confirmed free and she's the only one I care about, I have no reason to be mad personally. However, from the outside looking in, for anyone who was super hyped for this, they might have fucked up and transferred their Asteroid into normal pulls, or just looking at the system around this entire banner in general, it just doesn't look good. I don't understand why it's just so disgustingly predatory, right? But a lot of people are going to call me a Hoyo shill. They're going to say I'm just trying to hate on the game. I'm not, right? I really love Wuwa. I love Rebecca. But let's just all be honest with ourselves. This banner system has a multitude of issues facing it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. And peace out.